Telling your friends that you don't want to be alive anymore is awkward. It's probably not exactly the word you were hoping I was going to use, but it's the most accurate one, for me at least. You'd think maybe devastating or incredibly difficult would be more on the nose, but awkward is the one that resonates most strongly with me when I think about it. It's hard to find the gap in the conversation between them talking about what they had for lunch and what happened in their math class, where you can go, I don't want to be alive. See, it's awkward. The thing is that even once you manage to get it out, there's a lot of misunderstanding that tends to happen. Part of the problem is that for a lot of people, the will to live is so normal that it doesn't even occur to them that it might go away. And so when you say it's gone, they don't really know how to respond. It's like if you said, my car engine disappeared, and they said, my car engine spluttered once. It was tough, but you get through it. And you say, no, that's different. This is a more serious problem than spluttering. And they say, you should try putting car Band-Aids on it. And you say, no, my mechanic gave me car Band-Aids, and besides, it takes a lot more than car Band-Aids to fix a missing engine, like car therapy and car self-care. And anyway, I don't really need you to fix my problem, I just sort of want you to know that my car doesn't have an engine anymore. And then they say, have you tried a fire extinguisher? And you say, you don't know anything about mental health, Karen. Talking about mental health is difficult no matter what. It's difficult even if you've been prepared for it for a long time. I had a mother who sat me down when I was 15 and told me that I needed to take better care of myself than other 15-year-olds did because I had a brain that might not be very willing to let me be happy. As generations of depression and alcoholism created a family where the presence of either wasn't surprising or expected, where the anomalies were the ones who came out with neither. And those ones, there was still a general feeling of it's only a matter of time. That was how I had always felt. It was only a matter of time. And in my freshman year of college, my time was finally up. I went through a pretty rough breakup, but when you spend a good chunk of your life expecting to experience depression, you don't really think that something as small as a breakup is going to be the trigger. But it was. Which, if I'm being honest, is super annoying. And although the depression extended long past the breakup, long past the point where I had stopped thinking about it or him, it was still the thing that initially made the car engine disappear. That was the first big lesson about the car engine. You just have to acknowledge that sometimes it goes away and you don't know why. Sometimes it goes away because of a breakup, sometimes it goes away because of a tragedy, sometimes it goes away for no reason at all. And the reason it went away is no reason to feel shame or embarrassment or to ignore the fact that it's gone. At first, I didn't even realize that the car engine was gone because the post-breakup era shared a lot of features of just being sad. The little voice in my head would say, I could listen to Bon Iver in bed for 3 hours and cry a little. That's fine for me. But as it went on, it started to become clear that it wasn't just sadness. The voice started saying things like, the idea of tomorrow is too overwhelming to think about. Or, if I don't get out of bed today, maybe everything will start to feel better. If sadness was hitting rock bottom, depression was bottomless free fall. It was sleeping as much as I could during the day, partly because I was so damn tired all the time, but mostly because I wanted to avoid sleeping at night. Because sleeping then meant waking up the next day, and waking up meant having to start all over. Depression was feeling disappointed and feeling like a disappointment. Like everything I had believed would be true about my future didn't exist, and with it everything I had thought I would be had disappeared. It made my world one of strange and immediate battles. My goals used to be to succeed, to thrive, to do something good in the future, and now my only goal was keeping myself alive till the end of the day. The words I'm fine used to be the answer to a question, now they were a form of armor. Depression made my world one of facts. Where before I had wondered about silver linings, I now knew there were none, and where before I had questioned my own value, I now knew worthlessness was my neutral. What surprised me most was the ways it took over my life without my even realizing it. That part was in some way more difficult to comprehend. When I didn't feel sad, I just felt like some fundamental part of me had given up without my knowing. Sometimes I didn't feel depressed, I just felt like myself with a predisposition for failure. It intertwined itself so completely with my brain that I stopped seeing it. I only saw myself, suddenly unable to do the things I had been able to do my whole life. And when I failed, I didn't blame the illness, I only blamed myself. That's part of what makes it so hard, is I couldn't understand what was happening to me. I couldn't understand why I couldn't do these things. I was supposed to be a successful kid. I was supposed to be smart and capable and take advantage of all the incredible opportunities my parents had worked so hard to give to me, and I just couldn't. What kind of a person just can't? And the thing is, I don't know what I could have done better. I don't know that there's a way to prepare yourself for the day that you wake up and figure out that you don't want to be alive. I kept thinking I wanted to be somewhere else. When I was at school, I thought if I could just make it until I got home, everything would be fine. And when I was at home, I thought if I could just make it back to Berkeley, I'd be okay. And I kept switching back and forth between these places, and of course it didn't do anything because the real place I didn't want to be was inside my own head. It felt like an appropriately sick joke that the only easy interaction I ever had with the Berkeley administration was when I chose to withdraw. After 2 years of fighting to get classes, to get help, of skipping class to sit in the Tang Center because psych resources were so limited, of having advisors cancel on me when I was in academic crisis, on the day I decided to withdraw, I just walked into an advisor's office, and then 5 minutes later, I walked out with my withdrawal slip in hand, laughing at the fact that a school so completely unwilling to help its students was so suddenly proactive when they wanted to leave. I ended up leaving for 1.5 years. I'll summarize that part pretty quickly for you because mostly it involved me moving to the woods and doing a poor version of a Julia Roberts movie, except that instead of eating, praying, and loving, it was mostly eating, crying, and trying to figure out what the hell I was going to do with my life. But the more important aspect of my time off was that I let myself do it. I let myself take a break. I let myself forget about everything that this place had hammered into me. Every idea that not working towards a career meant failure, that not constantly pushing myself to best the people around me was laziness. I let myself do the thing I had seen as failing. I wish I could tell you that I ate, prayed, and loved my way through the woods all the way back to being great, but the reality is that even once I started to get better, I still had a long way to go. I spent my entire first year back in school so desperate to avoid throwing myself back down the rabbit hole of depression that I just didn't let myself feel anything. I spent a year of my life preventing myself from enjoying anything, from getting attached to anyone, because anything good that I could find was something I could lose again. And I wasn't sure if I could handle the pain of loss again, no matter how small. And I spent a year of my life preventing myself from feeling sad about anything because I was scared if I started feeling sadness, I wouldn't be able to stop myself. I didn't just have to reteach myself how to be happy, I had to reteach myself how to be sad. This is my third semester back in school, and a lot of it has been good, but a lot of it has been really hard. It's hard working to salvage a GPA I sank because I didn't function in class for a year. It's hard hearing people I love and respect tell me they don't agree with the fact that I take antidepressants. I used to be much more scared about that, but now I have a much better answer, which is, I don't care if you don't like it. The people I started college with graduated this past May, and as proud as I am of all of them, it's hard watching my peers move on with their lives while I'm struggling to put the pieces of my own back together. What's been much harder has been isolating myself from the people I love, hard separating myself from my parents in order to protect them. I've lied to my parents a lot over the last 3 years, and the twist is that it isn't because they're bad parents, it's because they're good. And it isn't because they wouldn't understand, it's because I know how deeply they would. My mother is an actress. My mother is deeply in touch with her emotions. My mother has made an art out of empathy. My mother cried watching the Simpsons movie. I don't know how you look at a person like that and tell them how you're feeling. I don't know how you look at the people who've worked to give you the world and tell them that you don't want to live in it anymore. Sometimes watching the people that love you learn fully about your depression feels like living it twice over. But the last year has been interesting, not just because of the difficult, but because of the surprising good. Since so many of the people who I started college with, the people who saw me start to battle depression have left, the majority of my friends are new, which is exciting but also baffling because I'm in this new period of my life where I'm finally doing well, and most of the people around me don't realize how utterly unbelievable that is. They don't know about the Thursday evening miracle where I sat down and just did homework for 2 hours, which was something that would have been unthinkable 2 years ago. They don't know that I cried at the beginning of the semester when I had the groundbreaking thought, I feel sad now, but I'm going to be okay again. And I was. It feels silly to celebrate your ability to feel the full range of human emotion and come out of it okay, but that's an incredible accomplishment for me right now. And they don't know about the moment 2 weeks ago when I woke up and realized that I was excited for that day, which was something that I hadn't felt in 3 years, and was something I thought for a long time I might never feel again. I can't tell you that any of the things I felt or what anyone else does. I can only tell you the few things that have stuck with me. That I have been so lucky and so sad, and that it's possible for both of those things to exist at the same time. I can tell you the fact that your life has gone differently than you thought it would does not make you any less strong or smart or tough. I can tell you that asking for help is not a sign of weakness, and that needing help does not mean you're ungrateful. And I can tell you that you are the furthest thing from alone, that you are far from the only one who feels like they can't or won't make it. And I can tell you for a fact that no matter what the voices in your head say, you are worth helping. You are worth helping. You are always worth helping.